We're talking about, okay, the worst, quote, critically acclaimed movies.
Right.
These are movies that every fucking person has told you is the bee's knees and that will enrich your life and that it has solved all of the world's problems for that Oscar year. And this is the film that you need to see to put you on the track of righteousness. Now, this definition has changed over time. We're in a new era of the Oscars. You know, things are, because that's what we're really talking about here. These
Oscars,
movies are typically like Oscar
Academy
contenders.
Award-winning movies.
Yeah, and then people love to. People are always like, "Oh, this movie. No one even watched these movies. No one even watched these movies."
Yeah.
Hey, dingus, that's the point.
Right.
That was the point, is to show you films that didn't get as much love but have merit.
Right.
And reflect the world in which you live.
Here's a bunch of movies that didn't have superheroes, so y'all didn't fucking watch it. So
listen,
let's give them their due.
The Marvel Universe single-handedly is paying for the infrastructure of Hollywood to continue.
Yes. Right.
But these are the ones that somehow got made. You don't even fucking understand how it got made, but they're here. Worst critically acclaimed movies of it. Here, why don't you hit me with your first one? Because I'm going to pull up like Oscar winners for the last couple.
Okay, I have mine.
Hit me with one.
Here are my like style over substance garbage. Okay, I'm gonna start with Phantom Thread,
which is a great place to start because I think this is hilarious.
Phantom Thread, if you haven't seen it, it's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie who I like, but he's kind of fallen off. Like, I didn't like Inherent Vice. I thought it was too confusing. I didn't really get it. You said you watched it high and it made sense to you, which I call bullshit on.
You're wrong.
Okay,
You're wrong.
right.
This is a slight aside. No, I have to make this point. Right. Inherent Vice is a movie that you have to understand that it's not about the destination. It's just about being confused the whole like it's about the journey. So? I do.
If that's true,
and if you watch it as a breakup movie, and if you watch it as a dude it's like a dude who's upset about his life falling apart, and it's just the whole point of the movie is that this guy has just found himself in this scenario where he's just treading water and he cannot make sense out of any of it constantly, and it ends with no resolution either. So I feel like if you look at it as that, it's enriching.
I'll try. I'm willing to try it again.
I think you should. I think you should get real stony baloney, get up there and watch it, and then watch it as a breakup movie.
If I get stony baloney, dude, it's gonna be just kind of like falling upon deaf ears.
I thought the first time I watched it,
the attention span to watch it sober.
The first time I watched it sober, and I was like, okay, I'm a fan. I'm a PTA fanboy, so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is weird. And then I watched it stoned, and I was like, this has merit.
Okay.
So that's my only point.
All right, that wasn't even what we're talking about.
Regardless, that's what we're talking about. Critically acclaimed films, and you brought up Phantom Thread. Now make your case as to why Phantom Thread sucks.
Here's the thing: you're watching it, and I think, what's the guy? Daniel Day-Lewis overacted it. I felt like I was watching Daniel Day-Lewis masturbate on the screen for the whole entire time. He took it too far. He took it to the point where he was so into this character that it was so clearly a dramatization of like someone that never existed. And you're watching it, and also he was annoying.
Yeah.
So you're watching like the main character is just like insufferable, and then you're watching Daniel Day-Lewis also be insufferable just from like getting so into this insufferable character, and you're waiting for the story to like pay off because you're just watching this guy be annoying and this girl be obsessed with an annoying guy.
Well, let's take a quick aside for people who haven't seen it. The basic plot of the film is Daniel Day-Lewis is a guy named Reynolds Woodcock, that's his actual name. In the movie is Reynolds Woodcock. Daniel Day-Lewis actually picked that name. Take of that what you will.
Did he really?
Yeah, the character.
Fuck Daniel Day-Lewis, man. He can suck a dick. Dude.
I get your sentiment. But anyway, he's a dressmaker in the 1950s
like
London.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a gown. He just makes beautiful dresses for beautiful mistress. And
he's very like mad scientist-y. He's very like
heady,
arrogant.
Yeah, arrogant, like creator type. Like everyone's in his way.
A real Steve Jobs of then.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's just so hard to watch. And then this girl just like falls in love with him and starts like, I don't want to spoil don't watch it.
Watch it.
But basically, you get to the end of it, and it just all feels so arbitrary and so stupid and so lacking of any sort of like real emotion or real character development or any sort of real connection between these two characters, and it all feels so vapid and stupid.
Yeah.
And so when I got to the end, I was like, this payoff was terrible. I saw the ending coming because it was pretty obvious. They tried to do like a little twist ending, and it was just like, you just sat through 3 or 4 characters that you really didn't like interact with each other for like 3 goddamn hours. Fuck that movie, dude.
Yo.
It was a piss poor film. Thomas Anderson makes great movies. That movie was a heaping pile of steaming dog shit that was only thrown in as a nomination for Best Picture because it's Paul Thomas Anderson.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Lean that way so the frame's more balanced, and I'm going to go into why you're slightly wrong.
Okay.
Was the payoff that good? No. It wasn't a great payoff at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It just, he needed to be controlled and she needed to control. That was the whole point. But, I think that there was a lot of merit. It took a lot of risks. The set design and the production value was through the roof. They were trying to make it look like something crazy, so I can appreciate it on that level. Was it that great? No. Was it PTA's best movie? No. But there was merit to it. I think it had a very clear point to make. I think it had a very clear point to make. Let's move on. We can't talk about Phantom
Can I
Thread
rebuttal your rebuttal one sec?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I just think it's like, yeah, sure, it had a very clear point to make, but it wasn't some sort of like large analogy for like religion or like, some sort of industrial complex or something like that, which you would expect. If it was something where it was like, oh wow, that was a really great metaphor for something, but it was just something so esoteric and like irrelevant from anyone's personal life that I was like, this whole movie, granted the set design was good. I think it won like best costuming and best makeup.
It won best costume, I believe.
Yeah, well, sure, cool. Whoop-de motherfucking do.
I get that. I mean, this is the whole segment. It's just going to be
This
me.
is fun. This is good.
Listen, okay, let's move on. We can't talk about Phantom Thread.
All right, what's yours? Your turn now.
I'll swing. I have 2 big swings that I can make. I can start now. Let's cover the other one you had real quick. Because we're in the same realm. Yours was...
I forget the name of it.
Roma.
Okay, so
what's your beef with Roma?
My beef with Roma, again, there was like, it felt like, if you haven't seen City of God, it felt like a boring City of God.
Yeah, way less cool.
It was way less cool, way less interesting. And the interesting parts of it were the cheating husband, who we rarely ever saw. And you're watching this kind of like, it felt like it was trying to make a statement on like socioeconomic classes. And then also it would kind of came in like the like rebel armies in Mexico. It just felt like it had no cohesive conclusion. And then there were also points in the movie that were like clearly sort of like director's choices to make elongated scenes. That absolutely meant nothing. And were like, it was a stylistic choice where they just did it, and it was obviously obtuse, and it felt weird being in the theater or watching it. So it was something where it was like The Emperor's New Clothes, where there was like a guy walks onto frame, there's a forest fire randomly, okay? Yeah. Everyone goes out to put out the forest fire. Guy walks into frame, sings for 2 minutes. Yeah. And then cut. And then we never talk about the forest fire again. It was just, and then it's to me, and then the girl that goes out and almost drowns, then the housemaid saves her.
Cleo? Is that her name?
Yeah. And then she kind of comes in and saves her. And then they just like, and then she spills her guts. I think she she just spills her guts and then like basically just narrates her whole inner dialogue throughout the whole entire movie. And you're like, whoa, show don't tell. Read a Sid Field book. Read Save the Cat. It was just like, this is bad cinema. It was bad.
Very interesting. That's great. I mean, listen, was Roma my favorite movie? No. But a lot of people, it really got their rocks off that year. It was a nice first of all, it was diverse, it was refreshing in that realm. I'll go back to it for a little bit. It was refreshing to a degree. I thought it had merit, Like, listen, it's a heady thing. It's a very self-serving thing.
Don't tell me if it's I feel like
and I don't mean no, sorry, that's
or
not
high concept, or the things we say that are like.
No, I'm saying it's
you're
in
too
its own
dumb
head.
to understand why it's good.
Listen, dummies.
Yeah.
You don't watch Roma, you're basically fucking.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not gonna listen. I didn't mean heady in that. I meant it's a movie for the people who made that movie. That's what I meant. You know what I mean? This is fine. This is thin ice. You know, you can get canceled for not liking Roma in this town. You know this, dude.
Bring it on. I don't like it.
You know this.
I thought
it was. Listen,
he did Gravity too.
It wasn't that great.
Right?
Listen, it wasn't that great. It wasn't that great. Let's move on.
All right.
Here's my big swing.
What are your
you ready
swings?
for my big swings? I have two big swings in different realms.
Hopefully, I've seen the movies.
Here's a broad stroke big swing. Forrest Gump. Not that good. I think it's a jerk off to the 20th century. It's a eulogy of the 20th century. It's just for people who were born in the 30s to look back at all like the good moments that they had. But it had no real. I'm gonna be the last person to ever be like that movie didn't have a point. But that movie didn't have a point. Okay, it was just a dude who floated his way through all of the biggest highlights of the 20th century, which by the way were not great for many people.
True.
I respect. Listen. It's like a bowl of chicken soup. That's what that movie is. It's for people, for boomers. Boomers watch Forrest Gump and they cry because it reminds them of simpler times and everything. And listen, here's the thing, dude. Now there's this whole theory was that like he basically none of it ever happened. That he was just like an insane guy on a bench who just made it all up to the people who came up to him. You know?
Was it based on a true story?
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't think so.
he's. But I mean,
there's a new theory that basically all of the shit that he did was made up, and that it was just a guy who was insane on a park bench rambling.
Dude, anyone that's debating whether a work of fiction, it's like when people are like Dumbledore is gay. When it's like, who cares?
For sure. No, you're right.
Who cares?
That's certainly a correct point.
You're debating the truth of fiction. You're debating a truth of like.
And those people are the worst.
They're bad. They're like,
I would be okay if that was the point of the movie, but the point I'm saying is that it's this new, And am I upset that Forrest Gump didn't get AIDS? Yeah, like he for sure had AIDS, dude.
He doesn't get AIDS, does he?
He doesn't though. Like, and
does he get tested?
No, dude.
It's just assumed that he never.
They never even say that Jenny has AIDS, but she did. They don't say. She just said I got the bug, and of course we all know the implied meaning of the time. Of course she was fucking around listening to Leonard Skinner doing heroin and shit like that, like back in the day. But take a stand, Forrest Gump. And by Forrest Gump I mean people who made Forrest Gump. Take a stand. Give him AIDS. Really shake the boat. Give him AIDS. Because here's the thing: he fucked Jenny, and she had it.
It does feel like a weird plot point to add into the movie where he fucks her and he knows she has AIDS and then that he doesn't contract it.
And he doesn't get it. And also, wouldn't that mean that their kid had AIDS too? It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. I don't get the love for it. Here's my other big swing. Here's the other big swing.
Wait, can I rebuttal?
Sure.
Okay, my rebuttal to Forrest Gump. I don't think you're wrong, but it is what the redeeming quality of that movie, and you kind of went through it in your criticism, is like it was fun. It's
a fun ride. Listen, I'm not. Every movie has merit, dude. I really believe that. I believe that every movie has merit. But that movie,
Roma was not fun.
It wasn't fun. It was It just made you feel bad about your life.
Forrest Gump was not boring.
Here's the thing about Forrest. Yes, it's not boring. It's entertaining. Crazy shit happens. He's in war. He's playing ping pong. He's meeting John F. Kennedy before he gets his head blown off.
I think the characters are good.
Yeah, the characters are good.
Lieutenant Dan.
Listen, they are good. But what I'm saying is, like, it's centered around this dude. I won't go too far to this because people will turn this into he used to say, like, I get it. It doesn't matter. He learned to walk. It just never felt, it never clicked. I feel like they were trying to make a statement about culture as a whole, and it just didn't land. It was an entertaining ride, but whatever their statement was, if you're going to really reference that many points in American history and go through the gamut like that and be like this, like all of these things that happen, you're making a huge period piece. You're making this big, like, this is all the things, this is a reflection of the shit that went down in America during its probably, most, explosive time period, which would be the 20th century, some could argue.
Yeah.
And it just didn't really have any point to make. And that's my criticism. But I want to move on from Forrest Gump, unless you have any pressing points, because I have another big swing.
No, I think you're right. I think, and it was a bit, Yeah, and it was kind of like it was that. It was just like check out all. To imagine if someone experienced all these parts
all
of
these things.
Wasn't he in the Watergate Hotel or some shit
Basically,
like that?
yeah.
Okay,
I mean, it was just over and over.
It's
and like,
BS.
listen, I get it. It's and we're not debating the truth of fiction here. We know we just made that point.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you're going to take that big of a hit, if you're going to go through that much of American history, you should try and make a point. And I feel like there was no point to be made. Moving on, critically acclaimed film, and I still like this movie, and I still love this movie. It has a place in my heart.
But to hate a movie
but it's
you like,
it's overrated for how critically acclaimed it is, and that movie is Pulp Fiction. Dude,
really?
I rewatched Pulp Fiction maybe 3 months ago.
Okay.
First time since I was like 16, which is when you watch Pulp Fiction, because you just turned 16.
I feel like you watched it a couple different times in life, but go on.
I agree with that. You know what, man? It was cheesy. It was super cheesy, and it was like in Pulp Fiction is like the epitome of cool for like a lot of people. You know what I mean? It was a reaction to, it's not new Hollywood of the 70s. It wasn't like the action movies of the 80s. It was just kind of like a blend of everything, right? That's his whole mantra, is that, he's the student of film, and that this is a reflection of what it should be. It just was it was just cheesy, man. Like the moments that were supposed to be cool weren't cool anymore.
You got to give it. It's unpredictable. You cannot say it's predictable.
No, of course it's not. Listen, I still love Paul. Like it's always going to have a place in my
scene?
The dialogue is cheesy, dude. Like
I think it's fun and
of John Travolta and Uma Thurman when they're on a date. Like that whole date scene, like all the lines they say to each other. It's just, I thought it was cheesy. Listen,
all right.
I love QT.
Say, get it all out. I got so much.
I love QT, and I know that it was cheesy because it was supposed to be like, oh, this has like all the quirks of like LA in the 60s. This is like 50s and 60s. This is a throwback to like simpler America, but it's like, she's on heroin and this guy's got a gun and he's a boxer. Like, I get all that. It's a clash of the cultures, right? It was old Hollywood meeting new Hollywood, which is kind of his thing, right? I watched it back, and it just didn't. The things that gave me substance before just weren't there anymore. I thought the dialogue was cheesy a lot of spots, but then there were parts where you're like, this is the best. There were some scenes in that where you're like, this is the best. And then sometimes you watch it and you say like QT saying the N-word all the time, and you're like, okay, dude, but like, what was this for? And how you got kind of
he says it a lot.
You got a pass, dude. He got a pass, and everyone knew it was wrong, and he still got a pass. So,
Who directed that scene? There's someone famous that directed that scene. I forget who.
He didn't?
No, he didn't direct it. Someone else did. I forget who it was. But I will say, okay, my defense in that movie is it isn't a classic action movie, and you have no idea where it's going. And I think, honestly, the writing in the script is pretty great for that reason. And I do think the date is like, it's good because it's awkward and clunky. And it is this like weird, like, what's that? Manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah.
Who's just like pretending to be some sort of like cute girl and flirt with you and try to get you to have sex with her to piss off her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And he's trying to make conversation, like the $5 milkshake, and like,
it's Steve Buscemi, by the way. He's the waiter.
Yeah, dude. It's an awkward. I feel like it's a very sincerely awkward date, dude.
There are a lot of merits to that movie, but all I'm saying is that movie was trying to position itself as the coolest shit in town, and listen, I wasn't there at the time it was released. I don't know the It just seemed a little cringy and cheesy. It seemed a little Spencer's Gifts, this rewatch. And it gave me conflicting things, because I think, listen, I'll be this dipshit who's going out there saying QT's best movie is Inglourious Bastards. And that's a take people don't want to hear. But I digress. That's my point.
I think here's okay. Do you want to give a closing thought, or do you want me to go first?
No, go ahead, buddy.
I think closing thought on that. I think QT's best work is Reservoir Dogs, because I think just from a cultural standpoint of an undercover cop going and trying to like, be a part of a heist.
Yeah.
I think, and then when the cop shoots the lady who shoots him.
Yeah.
That even just like
it's
that
great.
Part of the movie, and then like there's so much, and then like the guy that doesn't think he's the dirty mole. and he's like, he loves him and he's been shot and he's trying to take care of him, and he's the guy that stands by him and is like, no, he's good. I love this man. We need to get him to the hospital because he's not the cop. And he is a good guy, and that like love there, but the guy that's dying is like realizing it's like, no, I am the cop.
Yeah.
I betrayed you and you love me. That is just like that. I mean, okay.
It's a great movie.
It's a great movie. It's a better movie, but Pulp Fiction is a fun movie, and I think the dialogue, and I think Samuel L. Jackson's great. I think John Travolta's great. I'm not even a John Travolta fan. I think Quentin Tarantino's great. I even think that scene where he repeatedly says the N-word is still like, it's something you can't do now.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but man, we should just do a movie podcast. I have so many I'm done.
Well, whatever we can get people to fucking pay for at this point, you know? Give us this is a business, dude. This is new Hollywood, bitch. Everyone's like, I want to make an art film. No, bitch. We're making a podcast about the best toys from the 90s. And it's on iHeartMedia, and I'm a fucking millionaire now.